Hello there, this is Keith again, with you again. Um, our last talk I've just listened to, very nice talk, but I wasn't so pleased with the quality of the sound, so I'm using an external microphone now, and hopefully this will help you to hear what I'm saying because that's a very important thing. Okay, in our last talk, talk number 5, we covered many subjects, and it was in some senses far more usable, I think. I think we need to understand the part of the mind in the spiritual search for sure, but it's also important, as I said in an earlier talk, not to get lost in the mentality. It's extremely important for us to be able to work with the mind, but not get trapped in the mind. We talked about oneness, we talked about freedom and choices, and we talked about personality. And the important thing is that we understand that we are complex human beings. There's a tendency due to, I would suggest, due to the mass marketing of ideas now and the amount of commerce that goes into spiritual teachings, a tendency to simplify in the wrong way, and also I've noticed a tremendous amount of what we can call buzzwords, like the word oneness or the word love itself, love, yeah, love. The Beatles sang about it a long time ago. And love is important, and love is an important aspect of our day-to-day life. The love of our children, the love of our friends, the love we have for certain issues, certain things which are dear to the heart, the love of music, of nature, etc. All these things are extremely important for us. At the same time, we have to understand that love as a spiritual quality is just one spiritual quality. And we have to understand that the personality, again, if we look at what part of us is understanding what, the personality is something which sentimentalizes love and often creates more problems with this word love and the aspects of love than actually it solves, because love is not uh, totally a quality of yin or a quality of yang. When it's a quality of yin, then it tends towards softness and kindness and giving permission and acceptance, and that is an important quality. But if it goes too far to the yin, and love is seen just as those qualities, then the yang quality of love, which is a tougher quality of love, a quality that pushes, that when we love someone, for example, the yang quality of love is a quality which would take away the bottles of alcohol from someone who is drinking, and lay down some laws and threaten them. Yes, threaten them. This is a quality of love too, like the old Zen master with a stick. Um, Loving someone with soft yin energy by itself is not enough. We need again come back to the ball with the black and white fishes wrapped up in each other. This wonderful symbol of two energies, the yin and the yang, working together. And when we see our spirituality always from this, what we can call dualistic. In truth, it's not dualistic because it's one thing, but it's two polarities, two poles of one thing. When we understand this polarity concept of yin and yang, and everything in the universe is created out of that yin and yang, when we understand this, we have a tremendous ability to work along a sliding scale. We have, you could say, we have so many more psychological responses. We are able to respond to life in the moment by moment situation. We are able to, we can say, have a full repertoire. Again, I go back to a painter with a palette full of colors, or a cook that doesn't want to give you boiled rice all the time. You want a cook wants to use all of the flavors, aromas, the smells, and the look of the food to entice you and to delight you with the feast laid down on the table. And that concept of a cook, that symbol of a cook, you can think about, because surely that's what we want in our life. In fact, I'd say we do all want that. We all want to bring out the creative something. So yesterday I did a talk, and we talked much about the personality. And I've researched my own personality very deeply, and I am a people watcher. I love to watch what people are doing. I love to see how they're responding to things. I am careful of quick snap solutions. Uh, in some ways, I talked about America yesterday and the rise of a Western spirituality that included things like New Thought. Uh, Many great spiritual teachers have come out of the USA. And yet, I am well aware of one tendency of Americans, and that is to fix a label on something. So we have to be careful with this, because our personality, especially what that defined as ego, and one talker, speaker, a few actually, have used EGO, edging God out, pushing God away. This is a good way of seeing the ego. The ego grabs hold of anything it can use to establish its superiority over the spirit that is, and the soul, which is trying to come into our life, and its superiority over the other person. Of course, it loves to be better than other people. Now, going back to American and the Americanization of the New Age, in a way, uh, there's these what we can call pop spiritual words. For example, one that came up in the 70s and is still used highly is everything that happens in your life is a mirror. Now, that is a truth. Everything in my life is a mirror of the things which I have created. But is it a total truth? And this is where I say we must use the expanded mind. Is that a total truth? That everything that happens in my life, I create. That's another one often used. I create. No, no, no. This is a partial truth. It can be proved through a very logical argument, and it can be disproved through a logical argument. Therefore, every statement is a 50-50 statement. It's just, as the old Zen teacher said, it is just finger pointing to the moon. Every word, every wise word is just a finger pointing to the heavenly glory, the beauties of an ever expanding universe. So we live on the earth, and we feel separated from our roots, our spiritual roots, and we feel separated often from each other, alienated from family, alienated from society sometimes. And we want to fix. Of course we want to fix. I wanted to be fixed. When I was in Bournemouth, I looked at spiritualism. I walked into many New Age shops. There was a tremendous amount of them. Bournemouth is and was then anyway, a most interesting town. I came from a provincial northern town which had, I couldn't find anything spirituality anywhere, just in the bookshop. But I went to Bournemouth, and Bournemouth had, let's see, firstly they had spirituality, they had the reading rooms of the science of mind, they had individual private health foods and alternative medicines. They had yoga groups, they had the Hare Krishna movement, and they had a theosophical reading room in Boscombe, which is part of Bournemouth. So I was suddenly immersed in all of these possibilities. Now, I am a real researcher. I'm very interested in the history of spirituality. And the other thing I'm interested in is the origins and the development of spiritual ideas. Now, if you don't understand the development of spiritual ideas, then you'll take these pop words and you will take this simplified, marketed New Age material and you will incorporate it, or rather, the ego in you will incorporate it in your life, and it will strengthen the separation. It will strengthen your ability actually not to live. And then you get the type of person that I've seen since the 1970s. And in England, there's a good term for that. It's called space cadet. You know what a cadet is? A cadet is a learner. A space cadet is someone that goes off, floating around in space. And a lot of people are using this new age material to actually always look up. We're always waiting for the savior still, aren't we? And this is religion again. And make no mistake about that. This is not new age, it is old age, it's religious. Looking for the angels and the masters to save us. Haven't we understood this? No one saves us. There's no one coming to save us. There's no intergalactical fleet coming to save us. There is no ascended masters going to save us. There's no angelic realms coming to save us. All of these levels of consciousness and beings probably exist. I do believe there are highly spiritualized intelligences out there in the cosmos. But there's a law, another universal law, which we mustn't forget. And that law is that each must find their own pathway. And there is a law of non-interference with that. If your spiritual pathway in this life, your spiritual karma, means that you're going to kill yourself with overdose of heroin, I can suggest another pathway to you. But in all truth, it is your creation, your story, and your life. And if you want to kill yourself on heroin, go ahead. It's your choice. It's your experience. It will lead to a quicker death, a shorter life, and it will lead to a whole new bunch of possibilities at the end of the physical life. So you see, it is a wrong assumption to assume that we know best the pathway of another person. And this oversimplification of key concepts, and I go back to the mirror of life. Everything is a mirror. So if anything happens to you, then it is just you teaching yourself. Now that can be taken in a good way, and you can learn from the experiences you're having in life. If something is repeating itself in life, then it may be that perspective, that appearance or reappearance within your game of life, within your life's drama, is something that you need to learn from, and it probably is something you need. But let's look at this. That is assuming our individuality. But don't forget, there's another perspective. We are collective. We are a collective human family. That collective has many smaller collectives, all selling their collective ideals within it, and this creates some of the most amazingly nasty, vicious, and vile wars. You know, think about it. Think about the horrible wars that have gone on between the Christians and the Islamic State. Think about the vile attitude of most of the Europeans that went to North America, and how they treated the Native American Indians, and how they could look down on them because they had a belief in their technology and had a belief that their Christian ideals somehow made them superior to these Native Americans. So these type of separations are there. So the small collective consciousness or collective mind is a very dangerous thing, because it always assumes that if you're not in the collective, you're against it. Now, all of these things are coming up again. This is the time of the washing out of the old, a very important year, 2012. Many of the old structures of thought and emotion are leaving our planet, and we are faced with a kind of chaos as old structures disappear. Some people are trying hard to um, to build those old structures up again so that they have control of the life. Other people are like anarchistic lunatics on LSD. They smash everything that's old. If it's old, it's wrong. And yesterday I talked about the old English saying that don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And what this means Well, okay, this is a recap. But what this actually means is that um, we don't we don't throw away everything. We don't throw away the gems of the past. We don't destroy everything from the past and call it wrong, or often the way it's said, it's less spiritual. If it's a spiritual group it's destroying the past. If it's a political group, they'll say it's counter revolutionary, or it's a lesser understanding, and we now have a new social enlightenment, and this old stuff doesn't fit into that. And in this way, many institutions are being destroyed. Marriage, family, um, in more socialist type environments is avidly attacked, because if you weaken the family and you weaken the uh, the strength of independent thoughts within different families, then you can have a flat consensus reality that makes your collective consciousness easy to control, and to keep it going year after year after year. But I would suggest all of these old collectivities are being destroyed to bring in a new light. As a Catholic schoolboy, I saw firsthand the the techniques of mass brainwashing. And don't forget that the Catholic Jesuits said often, "Show me a, give me a child until it's 7, and I'll show you the man." I.e., they understood if you put in a load of programs in the personality, often fear programs, uh, then that will control the behavior right through life of the adult human being. Now, of course, the creators of mass group consciousness got onto this. They used the behavioral science, and they used Pavlov's dogs, and they used all kinds of conditioning. They took the children away from families and programmed them, highly programmed them, so that those children, in one sense, would look down on. Well, definitely that was the aim. Look down on their parents and grandparents and see them as non-educated, because this is another term used: education abused by a state-run program to make everyone sheep-like follow the program without question. Now, this goes on in religion. It's as old as humanity. It went on in the misuse of religion, the misuse of nationalism, i.e., like the nationalism within Britain when this was used in the First World War, where anyone who was a conscientious objector to that war was highly attacked in society and called cowards, anti-nationalists, etc. So every nation has this type of control of its people. Now, the New Age, true New Age, means that we're beginning to question all of these control mechanisms, and we're beginning to realize that none of this, whether it be my nation's birth nation in this life anyway, Britain, do I believe in the British consciousness? Well, I believe it exists. But when I see it, I've lived away from it, and when I see it in British people I meet here in Spain, I often have no connection with it whatsoever. But I lived with Fiona in Scandinavia for 18 years, and in many ways I have many Scandinavian ways of thinking. But the interesting thing is, and the nice thing is, I chose the beautiful things I see in the Scandinavian consciousness. There is a natural respect for each other, a natural respect for the law. Uh, there is a kind of lovely slowness of procedural law and things like this. And there is an understanding of how nature provides for the nation. And wonderfully, absolutely amazing is the protection of nature, the wonderful forests of Scandinavia. So you see, I love so many things about Scandinavia, and yet I saw the brainwashing programs. I understood them. I understood them because of what I saw in the brainwashing programs of the Roman Catholic school, and also my father, who was very communistic or socialistic, unionized man, a unionized representative, and basically in our childhood kept the party line going day in, day out. We were supposed to despise rich people, for they were the capitalistic destroyers of the workers, etc. So I had all this program put in there. When I went to Bournemouth, I saw the lights of Bournemouth, the beauty of that town, and met all these new ideas. I met students from Argentina, Brazil, Spain, France, many African students. I went to university in Bournemouth, and 25% of the students were foreign students. I had many good friends from various African countries, and I began to listen to their perspective. And the thing is, to listen and not feel threatened, even when, and there was many times, when the British Constitution and the British nation was attacked in the discussions. So what? So what if it's attacked? I don't. I'm not British. I'm not Swedish. I'm not Spanish. So what am I? See, this is a new thinking. What are you? Are you Swedish? Really? Are you Norwegian? Are you English? Are you African? No, Africa's a continent. Are you Egyptian or are you Nigerian? Are you Colombian? When we make a statement like that, let's go back to the model. We're going back into personality and the cause and effect influences that the personality has on us. So, a lot to think about there, isn't there? What I'm trying to do here is I'm using the pathway of the mind, the doctrine of the mind, we can call it, to free you from, hopefully, from some of the programmed beliefs and maybe programmed, if you don't mind me saying, programmed naiveties that these beliefs cause, because these types of programs rob you of your true intelligence, your true questioning, spiritual, adventurous self. I believe in that. For many years, I pushed this in Sweden. I pushed it and gave many talks. For example, in Falun, over a 3 or 4 year period, I gave talks with up to 500 people about these processes of understanding the levels and about awakening to freedom. Freedom to be a soul here on the earth. Can you feel that? There's something inside you excited about that. Maybe, maybe you can separate things now and you can look at the mind. The mind maybe is saying, oh, I don't know if I can accept what Keith's saying here. I don't know if I even like what Keith's saying here. But the inner self is, ooh, that's exciting. Because the inner self, as I talked about my experience at 14 and how I got pushed back in the body and felt like I was hit by a crowbar, a big metal bar, and forced back into a reality that I didn't really believe in. Well, when you hear these kind of opening, we can call them suggestions, we can even call them logical argumentations, we can begin to understand how we've been trapped. And this is the birth of freedom, not just freedom of the mind, but freedom of the soul, the life force, possibilities, choices, potentials, potentialities. The saddest thing I see through my work is that the loss of potential through fear. And one of the biggest fears people have is the fear of what people think of them. I've had that fear. I've fought it in myself. If you're afraid of what people think, you can never say openly, fearlessly, what you feel. And because of that, you're always going away from a conversation or a meeting or social event thinking, why didn't you say that? Why didn't I say that? Think about it. Often you will go away and feel But I wish I'd said more. I truly, truly, truly wish I'd said more. Okay. So be careful of how your personality takes spiritual teaching. This is a kind of synopsis of what I've said. Because the personality will use anything to keep you locked into its program of the past. The second thing is thought, properly used, is a very precise tool to help you get out of the prison of your mind. Remember what I said in the earlier talk? The mind can become a prison, and that learning in its proper sense of inquiring, not just reading a book and taking it all in without questioning. Don't do anything like that ever. True liberation is to look at everything from many angles. So, secondly, you can start to think about what it would feel like to be free. Um, what potentials are waiting to come out of you? What song do you want to sing? What painting do you want to paint? What love do you want to put into your life? And are you ready to let go of old patterns that have been programmed by mother, father, or school teachers, or whatever? Do you want to forgive? Are you going to stop blaming someone? Are you going to stop blaming mother, father, etc.? Okay, I'll leave you with this. I think this is enough for this talk. I hope you've enjoyed it. I will be back at some future point with a new talk. And yeah, if you listen to this, work with it, think about it, take it right into the heart and mind, and it will help in a process of liberation. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.